Neil Katyal joins us now. He's a former acting Solicitor General, a role in which he served during the Obama administration. Neil, it's nice to see you tonight. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
So we've been absorbing this developing news as it has happened. We've only had this information for about an hour now. Let me just ask if anything that you've heard us discussing seems wrong to you, or if you think that we've missed anything important in terms of the implications here. Both it's obviously stunning for court watchers and for those of us thinking about the structure of government to have a draft opinion like this leaked out of the United States Supreme Court. But then there's also the substance of what this opinion says, as Congressman Raskin was just explaining there, which appears to be opening the door for bans on abortion without any limits.
Yeah, so Rachel, everything I know about the court says to me that this opinion is a legitimate, true opinion. It's not some sort of deep fake. It looks like a court opinion. It quacks like a court opinion. It talks like a Justice Alito opinion. And so I think what you've been saying is absolutely right. I mean, put most starkly, this is the hugest step back for women in decades, the hugest step back for reproductive justice in decades. It will have profound consequences. And one thing that I don't think has been expressly mentioned so far is this telling fact about this Alito draft opinion. The Mississippi law that it upholds has no exception for rape or incest. And this draft opinion by the Supreme Court says that is A-OK. So you can have now a flat ban on abortion if this opinion becomes the law in any state, or as you were saying before, the federal government. And so it's astounding both in terms of abortion, but also kind of the brazenness that the court majority, and again, it's still a tentative opinion, and we can talk about that in a minute, but the brazenness by which it's overruling past decisions. Remember, in 1992, it was 3 Republican justices, O'Connor, Kennedy, and Souter, that said, look, Roe might be right, it might be wrong, but we can't overrule it because social expectations have crystallized around this decision, and it's critical to the court's legitimacy. That was all blown off by this draft opinion.
And Neil, you just suggested that this opinion will, change, and that's obvious. Over time, things change from first draft to final. But from what you know of the court, thinking here about what Dahlia Lithwick said earlier this hour, that some of the rough edges of this might be sort of buffed off. Do you think there's any chance that this ends up not being the majority position? Do you think there's any chance in which we end up with this being what 4 justices believe and not 5, and therefore this is not going to be the majority's ruling?
Right. There's always that possibility. Hope springs eternal. But I guess I disagree with Dahlia a little bit because, she was really speculating that the Chief Justice Roberts would change his opinion or vote with the dissenters or something. But the key thing here is that Chief Justice Roberts' vote is now irrelevant. It's Justice Alito plus the 4 justices to his right besides Chief Justice Roberts. So you need to flip Kavanaugh or Gorsuch or Thomas, and that is just or Amy Coney Barrett, and that is a pretty unlikely thing given the tenor of oral argument. So, Rachel, the process here is this case was argued in December. The justices take a tentative vote right after it, and then the senior most justice in the majority assigns the opinion to whomever she or he wants. Here, it's unlikely Roberts was in the majority because he would have probably assigned the draft opinion to himself. So it's likely Alito or Thomas was one of those 2. Alito's now written this opinion. It's circulated to the other justices. There's going to be a dissent that's prepared. Sometimes it's possible that dissent can change the minds of those in the majority. But here, so far we haven't seen any indications of that from the other 4. So I'm afraid to say, and this is, of course, this has literally never happened in our history, but right now it does look like that the Supreme Court is poised to overrule Roe versus Wade and bless flat bans on abortion in the 50 states and the federal government. And if they can do this, Rachel, for this, what's next? If they can do it for the most, probably the opinion that most Americans know by name more than anything, except maybe Brown versus Board of Education, they can do it for gay marriage or anything else that the court has guaranteed. And that is a very, very scary prospect.
Neil Katyal, former acting Solicitor General. Sir, thank you for your time this evening. Again, joining us on short notice. I appreciate it, Neil.